In this video, I'm going to give you a full step-by-step tutorial to build a cryptocurrency dashboard. We're going to show the prices and market cap of the most popular cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's going to be very similar to Coinmarketcap, which is the most popular website for prices of cryptocurrencies. We're going to use Node.js, Next.js, Bootstrap, the CoinGecko API, and deploy everything to Heroku. And if you don't know me, I'm Julian, and on my channel Eat the Blocks, I teach blockchain development and how to find your first blockchain job. And before we continue, quick announcement, I'm working on a new course on advanced solidity, so if you want to be notified as soon as it's released and receive some exclusive preview, make sure to register with the link down below. So here is the architecture of what we're going to build. We start from the web browser of the user. When the user wants to load our app, he visits the URL and his web browser sends a request to our Node.js backend. That's where we will write all of our code. Our backend needs to fetch the latest prices, so for that it sends a request to the API of CoinGecko. CoinGecko maintains an internal database with the aggregate data from the biggest crypto exchanges like Binance, Coinbase, etc. So our backend gets the response from CoinGecko. This will be a JSON object with all the prices we asked for, and our backend inject these prices into an HTML template and send the resulting HTML document to the web browser, and the end user finally can see the result in his web browser. So that's the high level overview of how things work, and next we're going to start coding our project. There are many different options for building a backend. We're going to use Node.js because that's easy to use, that's the most popular in web development, and that's also where you will find the most libraries. So you need to install Node.js on your computer first, take the LTS version. Then we need to choose a backend framework. A very popular Node.js web framework is Express. It works well if you are building an API. In our case, we are not building an API, but instead we will return a full HTML document to the front end. You can do this with Express, but you need to configure a templating library like handlebars, and it's a bit annoying to do this. And nowadays, on the web for rendering HTML, everybody uses React, but React is for the front end only. Can we use React in the backend? Yes, by using a framework called Next.js. With Next.js, you can render HTML in the backend by using JSX, exactly like if you were using React on the front end. So we are going to use Next.js. So we go to the command line, and first we need to install Next. So for that, we use the npm package manager and we install it globally like this. Create Next app. And after we create our next project by using the create next app command that we just installed. So I'm going to call this Coinmarketcap clone. Okay, so now let's go in the folder, and you can see that it has created all these files. So that's the typical structure of a Next.js project. And now if you run npm run dev, it's going to start the server. And if you go to localhost column 3000, you will see this. So it's the default homepage that is created by create next app. So everything is working properly. The next step is to fetch the prices from the CoinGecko API. There are many different APIs to fetch cryptocurrency prices, but I really like the API of CoinGecko because it's well designed, it's free to use, and it doesn't require any API key. So we are going to pick this one. We can hit directly their API, but it's easier to use their Node.js client on npm. So we're going to use this library, and if we scroll down on the npm page, we can have the installation command. So back in our terminal, in our project, and I'm going to install this. So now it's installed, we can use this library. So Next.js allow you to have multiple pages in your application, but in our case, we're only gonna have one page, that's gonna be the home page. So to edit this home page, we're going to open a file in pages, index.js. So here, this is exactly like in a React application. You export a function to define a component, and in this function, the HTML will be what you return. And we're going to fetch prices from CoinGecko in the same file. So at the top, first we need to import the CoinGecko API. So import CoinGecko from CoinGecko API. And after, we need to instantiate the client. So now with this object, we can fetch data from CoinGecko. So there are several methods for fetching data with the Next.js framework. And one way is to fetch data for every incoming request. So that's what we want. So for that, we need to define a new function that we're going to export. So we're going to call this get server side props. It's going to receive an object called context. So all of this is defined by Next.js. And after, we are going to query the API of CoinGecko. So we use the CoinGecko client. And the endpoint we're going to use is coins/markets. So conveniently, there is a function that is called markets on the CoinGecko client, and just like that, we have the prices from CoinGecko. Super simple. So there are many different markets on CoinGecko, and by default, it's going to return only 100 of them. And we want the prices for the largest cryptocurrencies. So for that, we will need to specify a parameter. So let's create a parameter object, and it's going to have an order entry. And here we reference CoinGecko that we imported at the beginning, order.marketcap descending, and we pass the parameter object here to the request. And now we're going to have the prices for the 100 largest coins. So next, we're going to render this data into a nice HTML table. We need to pass this result object to the function above where we render the HTML of our component. So for that, we can use the props object. So here we return an object where we define a props object. And in this object, we're gonna put the result from CoinGecko. And after, so we go up to the home function, and here we add an argument here, props. So that's coming from get server side props function just below. And we're going to extract the data entry from props.results. And we're going to console log data to see what's inside. By the way, let's remove what we don't need here. So everything in main and footer, that's the boilerplate code from Create Next App. We don't need this. And we're gonna call this Coinmarketcap clone. So let's go to the front end in your web browser at localhost column 3000. Let's open the JavaScript console, and we can inspect what we have in the console log. So here we can see an array of 100 entries with the prices of the largest cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, etc. So let's expand the entry of Bitcoin. So we're going to see the field that we need. So market cap, so that's going to be one of them. Then symbol, then price change 24 hours. And then current price. Okay, so back to the code. So let's get rid of this console log. And below here, we're gonna add a title. So we're gonna call this Coinmarketcap clone. And just below, we're going to render the table with the prices of all these cryptocurrencies. So first, we need to define the column of the table. So the first column is the symbol of the cryptocurrency, then the 24-hour price change, then the price, and then the market cap. And after, we define the body of the table where we are going to render one row per cryptocurrency. And so for that, we are going to iterate through the data object. And for each of them, we're going to render a table row. So we need to add a key attribute to each row, otherwise React is going to complain. So we can use the ID field for each coin. And we're going to start by the symbol. So coin.symbol, and we make it uppercase. Then we're going to have the price change in percent. Then we're going to have the current price. And then we're going to have the market cap. And I made a mistake here. It's not percent, but it's percentage. And now if you go back to the front end in your browser at localhost column 3000, you should see this. So everything is working fine. We can see our different cryptocurrencies with all the info we wanted, the symbol, price change, and the market cap. So it's really good step, but as you can see, it doesn't look great, and we can probably improve the formatting and the presentation. So that's what we're going to do in the next section. Bootstrap is a very popular CSS framework. It's very convenient to improve the look of any web app, especially if you are not a designer. So we are going to use it. So at the root of our project, we're going to use npm to install Bootstrap with npm install Bootstrap. And after, we're going to import it in our code. So for that, I'm going to pages_app.js, and I'm going to import the main CSS file of Bootstrap there. So that's bootstrap dist css bootstrap.min.css. Okay, and so now back in our home component index.js, and first we're going to add a class name to our table to use the class of Bootstrap. This is just going to be table. And now if you have a look at the front end, you can see that already we have some nice improvement here. The table looks much nicer. So it's a good first step, but we're going to keep improving the visual appearance. So next, we are going to add an image next to the symbol of each coin. So for that, we're going to use the image HTML element. And we're going to use the image that is provided by CoinGecko. So coin.image. For each cryptocurrency, it's going to provide a small logo. We're going to add some styling to make sure that the logo is not too big. So we're going to make it 25 pixel height and width. And we're also going to add some margin on the right to give it some breathing room. And next, for the price change in percentage, we're going to change the color depending on whether it's positive or negative. So for that, we're going to wrap it by a span HTML element. That's span are used when you want to style some specific portion of text, and we're gonna give it a class name. So if price change percentage 24-hour is superior to 0, this is gonna be text success. So this is a class name coming from Bootstrap. Otherwise, it's gonna be text danger, and this is gonna be red. So we close the JSX tag, close the span. We also need to have a closing span. And we also want to format the percentage here. So add a percentage after the number, and also make sure that we don't have too many decimal. So for that, we're going to create a function, format percent, and it will receive the number, and it's going to return. So first we convert the number into a JavaScript number, and then we limit the number of decimal with 2 fixed 2, so 2 decimal maximum. Then we close our JavaScript interpolation, we add the percentage and close the string literal. Alright, so back to the table, and now instead of displaying coin price change directly, we pass it to format percent, and now it's gonna look nicer. And next, we also have to format the current price and market cap. So for that, we're gonna define another function. We're gonna call this format dollar. It's going to receive 2 arguments, the number to format, and also maximum number of significant digits. So again, it's to avoid to have too many decimals. And we're going to use a new API of JavaScript inside the international prefix.number format. So that's probably the first time that you see this JavaScript API, but it's very convenient. So the first argument is the local. We're going to put US, and then we're going to configure this with other option. So this is a currency, and the currency is US dollar, and it also need to know the maximum significant digits, and here it's maximum. And after, we need to call the format function on that, and we give it the number. Okay, so now let's make use of this function, format dollar. Oops, I forgot to give it the second argument here, so 20 and 12. And so now if you go back to the front end, you should see this. Wow, looks much better. Here we can see the symbol for each crypto. Here now we have some color for the price change, and for the price and the market cap, you can see that we have nice formatting with the $sign and a reasonable amount of decimals. So the next step, in order to have our website run 24/7, we need to deploy it to a live server. There are many ways to deploy an application to a server. For simple applications, I like to use Heroku. Heroku is very simple to use. However, it can get quite expensive very fast. But for this tutorial, we can use their free tier. So first, you need to create a free account on Heroku. Then you need to install the Heroku CLI. And finally, you need to install Git. After, you go back to your command line at the root of your project. And we're going to open package.json, and we're going to add a new entry called engines, and we're going to specify the version of node necessary to run this project. So node 12.x, that means any version of node that is compatible with node 12. So Heroku will use this to know which version of node to use to run our project. And after, with Git, we're gonna initialize a Git project. we're gonna add everything, and we're going to do the initial commit with whatever message for the commit, it doesn't matter. And after, we're gonna use the Heroku CLI to logging into our account. So it's going to take you to your browser and you click on login. Okay, and after, you're gonna create a new Heroku app with Heroku create. Okay, so now we can see the URL of our Heroku app, but for now we have nothing running. And so next, we're going to push our app to Heroku with git push Heroku master. Okay, build failed, and it seems like it doesn't like that there is two kinds of log file, package log and yarn log. Okay, so we are going to remove yarn log. Okay, so now we need to recommit this. So commit remove yarn log. Okay, so now we are going to re-push everything and see if it works. Okay, so the build is finished. So we're going to copy paste the URL and see how it looks like from the front end. And we have an error. So I did some research and I know why it doesn't work. So back to our command line, and we need to make a change in package.json. So here, next start, we can specify the port to which it binds. So on Heroku, in order to be exposed to the web, we need to bind to the port specified in the port environment variable. So let's save this, and we're gonna commit everything again. Fix port, git push Heroku master. And so now if I reload my Heroku app, finally it's working, yeah! Okay, so our dashboard looks good, but how can we improve it? Well, first you can explore the API of CoinGecko and see the different endpoints that they have. For example, you can get some aggregate data like total market cap across all cryptocurrencies. You can also have some data specific to DeFi, or you could also add some graph. Another improvement you can bring to our dashboard is to not query the CoinGecko API every time we receive a request from end user, because otherwise there is really a high chance that we go over the usage limit of the CoinGecko API. So instead, I recommend to have another process that fetches the data from the CoinGecko API, maybe at regular interval, maybe every 5 minutes, store this in a database like MongoDB, and when you receive a request from end user, it reads the data from your MongoDB database, but it doesn't query the CoinGecko API. And the next thing I wanted to tell you is how you can monetize this project. Well, you will need to create a lot of traffic for your dashboard. So for this, you will need to study SEO, or search engine optimization, which is the science of how to rank high in the Google search ranking. And one thing I haven't mentioned is that it's actually very important that you do server-side rendering, which is what we are doing with Next.js. Otherwise, Google crawler will be unable to crawl your page and your SEO will be really bad. And once you have traffic, you can sell some advertisement and start making money. So if you enjoy building little fun project like this, I have another tutorial where we build an API for DeFi, so check it out.